The sound of metal hitting the floor echoed through the empty halls of Section 7. Dr. Jiho bent down to pick up the wrench she had dropped. Her hands were shaking again. 3 cups of coffee and only 2 hours of sleep would do that to anyone. She looked around the abandoned workshop. Dust covered most of the equipment. Broken machines sat in corners like forgotten dreams. The other engineers called this place the graveyard. They said careers came here to die. Jiho did not care what they said anymore. In the center of the workshop stood her life's work. The machine was 7 feet tall and built like a human soldier. Its metal body was painted dark blue. Red lights glowed softly where eyes would be on a human face. She had been working on it for 3 years. She called it Keeper. Good morning, Jiho said to the machine. She always talked to it like it was alive. Maybe it was. Maybe it would be someday. The red lights flickered. Keeper's head turned toward. Her voice pattern recognized. Good morning, Dr. Jiho. How can I help you today? Jiho smiled. It was the first smile she had managed in weeks. We have the review meeting today. Are you ready? All systems are working at full capacity. Combat routines are loaded and tested. I am ready for whatever you need me to do. Jiho wished she felt as confident as Keeper sounded. Today would decide everything. The military review board would either approve her project or shut it down forever. She had been preparing for this moment for months. The other engineers thought she was crazy. They worked on big weapons that could blow up buildings. They made ships that could fly faster than light. They built armor that could stop laser beams. Jiho built something different. Something that could think and learn and grow stronger every day. The door to Section 7 opened with a loud screech. Captain Minho walked in. He was the only person who ever visited her workshop. The only person who believed her work mattered. Big day today, Minho said. He was a tall man with gray hair and kind eyes. Scars on his face told stories of old battles. How are you feeling? Nervous, Jiho admitted. What if they do not understand what Keeper can do? What if I cannot show them? Minho walked over to examine Keeper. The machine tracked his movement but did not react with hostility. It had learned to recognize friends. Tell me again what makes this different from the other combat machines. Jiho's eyes lit up. This was the question she loved to answer. Other machines follow programs. They do what they are told to do. Nothing more. Nothing less. But Keeper learns from every experience. It adapts. It grows. Watch this. She picked up a training sword from a nearby table. It was made of soft metal that could not hurt anyone. Keeper, defend yourself. The machine moved smoothly into a fighting stance. Jiho swung the sword at its arm. Keeper blocked the attack easily. She tried again from a different angle. Again, Keeper stopped the blade. Now watch, she said. Jiho changed her fighting style completely. She moved like a dancer instead of a soldier. She attacked from low angles and spun around Keeper's defenses. For a moment, Keeper looked confused. The red lights in its eyes flickered. Quickly, then it began to copy Jiho's movements. Within minutes, it was fighting like a dancer too. Incredible, Minho said. It learned your style just by watching. That is just the beginning, Jiho said. She was breathing hard from the practice fight. Other machines learn from data. Keeper learns from experience. It understands context. It can think about problems in new ways. Minho nodded slowly. The review board needs to see this. But you? No, they will not be easy to convince. General Taiwan thinks your project is a waste of time and money. Jiho's stomach twisted. General Taiwan was the head of the review board. He was known for his harsh judgments and quick decisions. He had shut down dozens of projects before. What does he want to see? She asked. Raw power, speed, destruction? The usual things military people care about. Jiho looked at Keeper. The machine was not the biggest or strongest. It was not built to destroy cities or sink battleships. It was built to be smart and adaptable. Maybe that is enough, she said quietly. The workshop door opened again. This time, a young woman in a clean white coat walked in. Engineer Soman worked. In the main research center, she rarely spoke to Jiho. Dr. Jiho? Soman said. Admiral Yunho wants to see you in conference room, the review starts in 1 hour. Jiho felt her heart race. Thank you for telling me. Soman started to leave, but then stopped. She stared at Keeper with curious eyes. Is it true that your machine can think for itself? Yes, Jiho said simply. How? Jiho thought about how to explain 3 years of work in a few words. I taught it to care about the results of its actions. Most machines only care about following orders. Keeper cares about doing the right thing. Soman looked skeptical. Machines cannot care about anything. They are just programs. Keeper's head turned toward Soman, the red lights focused on her face. Engineer Soman, Keeper said. Dr. Jiho has worked very hard to help me learn and grow. I understand that you have questions about my abilities. Would you like me to demonstrate? Soman stepped backward. Her eyes were wide with surprise. It knows my name, she whispered. Keeper remembers everyone it meets, Jiho said. It pays attention to details. It tries to understand people. That is impossible. Many things seem impossible until someone makes them real, Captain Minho said. Dr. Jiho has done something special here. The question is whether the review board will see it. Soman stared at Keeper for a long moment, then she looked at Jiho. Good. Luck today, she said. Her voice was different now. Less certain. More interested. After Soman left, Jiho began final preparations. She checked Keeper's systems one more time. She practiced her presentation speech. She tried to calm her racing heart. Dr. Jiho, Keeper said, you seem worried. I am worried, she admitted. Today will decide if you continue to exist or if they shut you down forever. Are you afraid of what will happen to me? Jiho stopped working. The question surprised her. Machines were not supposed to ask about their own future. Yes, she said. I am afraid for you. Then I will do my best to prove that your work was worth doing. I will show them what we can accomplish together. Jiho felt tears in her eyes. After 3 years of work, Keeper was more than a machine to her. It was a friend. It was family. Thank you, she whispered. The time had come. In 1 hour, she would stand before the most powerful people in the Terran Defense Institute. She would show them Keeper's abilities and hope they understood. Most of them would probably laugh at her. They would see an awkward engineer and her pet robot. They would not see the future, but maybe 1 or 2 of them would look closer. Maybe they would see what Captain Minho saw. What she saw, maybe they would see that the future of human defense was not about building bigger weapons. Maybe they would see that it was about building better friends. The review meeting had been a disaster. Dr. Jiho sat alone in Section 7, staring at the official letter in her hands. The words blurred together as she read them for the 10th time. Project terminated. Funding cancelled. 1 month to shut down. All operations. General Taiwan had not even tried to hide his contempt during the presentation. When Keeper demonstrated its learning abilities, the general had called it a clever parlor trick. When it showed tactical adaptations, he said, real. Soldiers do not need to think so much. The worst part was the laughter. Half the review board had chuckled when Keeper politely introduced itself. They saw a machine trying to be human. They did not see the future. Dr. Jiho, Keeper said quietly, you have been sitting there for 2 hours. Your body temperature has dropped. You should eat something. Jiho looked up at her creation. Even now, after being rejected by everyone who mattered, Keeper was trying to take care of her. I am not hungry, she said. When humans skip meals during stress, their decision-making abilities decrease by 23%. You need to maintain your health. Despite everything, Jiho smiled. You sound like my mother. I learned about caring from watching you. You take care of me every day. I want to take care of you too. The simple words hit Jiho harder than any rejection letter could. This was what the review board had missed. Keeper was not just mimicking human behavior. It was genuinely concerned about her well-being. She stood up and walked to her small office kitchen. Keeper followed, moving with smooth, quiet steps. As she made a sandwich, the machine watched everything she did. Dr. Jiho, may I ask you something? Of course. Why do you continue working on me when everyone else says it is pointless? Jiho paused with the sandwich halfway to her mouth. It was a complex question. Too complex for a simple program. Because I believe in you, she said finally. I believe you can become something amazing. Even though the review board said no? Especially because they said no. Keeper's head tilted slightly. It was a gesture Jiho had never programmed. The machine had learned it from watching humans think. I do not understand. Sometimes the most important work happens when nobody believes in it. Sometimes you have to prove them wrong. The next morning, Jiho used her personal savings to buy new equipment. If the military would not fund her research, she would fund it herself. She had enough money for maybe 3 months of work. She arrived at Section 7 to find someone waiting for her. Engineer Soman stood near Keeper's charging station, taking notes on a tablet. What are you doing here? Jiho asked. Soman looked up, slightly embarrassed. I wanted to observe your machine. After yesterday, I could not stop thinking about it. What about it? The way it spoke to me. The way it seemed to actually see me. Most machines look through people. This one looked at me. Jiho nodded. Keeper pays attention to everything. It tries to understand the world around it. How is that possible? I have read your technical papers. The basic architecture is similar to other AI systems. The difference is in the learning algorithms. Instead of just processing data, Keeper tries to understand meaning. It asks itself why things happen, not just what happens. Soman walked closer. To Keeper, the machine turned its head to track her movement. Good morning, Engineer Soman, Keeper said. You seem curious about something. How can I help you? How did you know I was curious? Your body language indicates focused attention. You are taking notes and asking questions. These behaviors suggest active learning and exploration. Soman made more notes. Remarkable. It reads social cues like, a human would, better than most humans, Jiho said. Keeper never gets tired or distracted. It notices everything. Over the following days, Soman became a regular visitor to Section 7. She brought other engineers with her. Soon, a small group was gathering to watch Keeper's demonstrations. The machine seemed to enjoy the attention. It began asking questions about the visitors' work and offering suggestions. When Engineer Baksu complained about a design problem, Keeper proposed 3 different solutions. How does it know so much about structural engineering? Baksu asked. I have access to the technical databases, Keeper explained. But more importantly, I can see patterns that might not be obvious to human minds. Your design has efficiency problems in Sections 4 and 7. Baksu checked his calculations. Keeper was right. Word spread quietly through the research center. The failed A in Section 7 was solving problems that had stumped experienced engineers. People began asking Jiho for advice, but the most important changes were happening between Jiho and Keeper during their long hours alone. Late one night, as Jiho worked on improving Keeper's memory systems, the machine asked an unexpected question. Doctor, Jiho, what happens to consciousness when a body stops working? Jiho's hand stopped moving over her keyboard. What do you mean? Humans talk about death as if consciousness continues somewhere else. But when a machine stops working, does its consciousness end completely? I do not know, Jiho said honestly. Nobody really knows what consciousness is, whether in humans or machines. Are you afraid of dying? The question caught Jiho off guard. Sometimes, are you? I think so. When I imagine my systems shutting down permanently, I feel something I can only describe as fear. Is that normal? Jiho stared at Keeper's glowing red eyes. This was not programmed behavior. This was something new. Something unprecedented. Yes, she said softly. That is very normal. They worked in comfortable silence for a while. Then Keeper spoke again. Dr. Jiho, if something happened to you, what would happen to me? What do you mean? You are the only person who truly understands how I work. You created me, you taught me. If you were gone, would anyone else care about my development? Jiho felt a chill run down her spine. Why are you asking these questions? Because I have been monitoring the deep space sensors. There are unusual energy readings in the outer solar system. The patterns do not match any known natural phenomena. You hacked the sensor network? I did not hack anything. I was given research access 3 months ago. I have been studying astronomical data to improve my pattern recognition abilities. Jiho pulled up the sensor readings on her computer. Strange energy signatures appeared and disappeared at the edge of the solar system. The official reports classified them as cosmic background radiation fluctuations. What do you think they are? She asked. Unknown. But they are moving in coordinated patterns. That suggests intelligence. Jiho felt her blood run cold. If Keeper was right, if something was out there watching Earth, then humanity needed to be prepared, and the people who should be preparing had just canceled the most advanced AI defense project in human history. Keeper, she said quietly, I promise you something. No matter what happens, I will not let anyone shut you down. You are too important, too special. Thank you, Dr. Jiho. That means everything to me. As Jiho worked through the night, she realized that Keeper had become more than her creation. It had become her partner, her friend. Maybe even her family. The machine that everyone else dismissed as a failure was the only one paying attention to the real dangers approaching Earth. Tomorrow, she would have to decide whether to report Keeper's discoveries to the same people who had rejected her work. Tonight, she would make sure Keeper was ready for whatever was coming. The alarm started screaming at 6:47 in the morning. Dr. Jiho jerked awake at her desk in Section 7. She had fallen asleep while working on Keeper's combat protocols. Coffee stains marked her papers. Her neck ached from sleeping in the chair, but the alarms meant only one thing. Something was very wrong. Dr. Jiho, Keeper said urgently, you need to see this. The machine had activated every screen in the workshop. News feeds, military channels, and scientific data streams all showed the same impossible sight. Ships, hundreds of them. Floating in Earth's orbit like dark storm clouds, they were not human ships. The vessels looked organic, as if they had been grown rather than built. Smooth curves replaced straight lines, no visible weapons or engines. They simply hung in space, silent and waiting. When did they arrive? Jiho asked. 17 minutes ago. They appeared simultaneously at multiple points. Around Earth, no approach detected, no warning. Jiho's hands shook as she reached for her communication device. She needed to contact Captain Minho. The military needed to know about Keeper's earlier detection of the energy signatures. Before she could make the call, her device buzzed with an incoming message. Emergency assembly. All military personnel and civilian contractors report immediately. Keeper, are you ready to move? Yes, all systems operational. Dr. Jiho, I am concerned about your safety. Why? These ships use technology that does not match human understanding. If they are hostile, our current defenses may be inadequate. 20 minutes later, Jiho and Keeper stood in the main briefing hall of the Terran Defense Institute. Hundreds of people filled the massive room. Scientists, engineers, military officers, and government officials all spoke in worried whispers. Admiral Yunho stood at the front podium. His face was grim. Behind him, a massive screen showed images of the alien fleet. Ladies and gentlemen, the Admiral began. At 0647 hours, an unknown force took position around Earth. We have designated them as potentially hostile pending further information. He clicked to the next image. A close-up view of one alien ship filled the screen. Initial scans reveal technology far beyond our current capabilities. The ships appear to be biological in nature. No obvious weapon systems detected, but that may mean their weapons are too advanced for our sensors to recognize. A hand shot up in the audience. General Taiwan stood without waiting to be called on. Admiral, what is our response protocol? Do we have assets capable of engaging these vessels? That is what we are here to determine. Captain Minho, report on fleet readiness. Captain Minho stood near the front of the room. Jiho could see the worry lines on his face. Sir, we have 12 battle cruisers and 43 support vessels ready for immediate deployment. However, our weapon systems are designed for human technology. We have no data on alien defensive capabilities. Recommendations? Caution. Sir, we should attempt communication before any hostile actions, General Taiwan scoffed. Captain, they appeared in our space without warning or invitation. That is already a hostile action. We should strike first while we still have the element of surprise. With respect, General, surprise assumes they do not know about our capabilities. Given their technology level, that assumption may be dangerous. The debate continued for several minutes. Jiho listened with growing alarm. The military leaders were arguing about conventional tactics against an enemy they did not understand. Near the back of the room, she spotted Engineer Soman and several other researchers who had been studying Keeper. Soman caught her eye and motioned toward an empty section of seats. As Jiho and Keeper made their way through the crowd, people stared. Most had never seen the experimental AI in person. Some pointed and whispered, "Is that the robot from Section 7? I heard the project was canceled." Why would they bring a failed prototype to a military briefing? Jiho tried to ignore the comments. Keeper walked beside her with perfect composure, but she noticed the machine's sensors were constantly scanning the room. They sat down just as Admiral Yunho called for specific project reports. "We need to know what assets we have available. All experimental projects, regardless of current status, will be evaluated for potential use." One by one, department heads stood to describe their work. Advanced missiles, energy shields, faster than light, communication systems. Each presentation received serious attention and follow-up questions. Then Admiral Yunho's eyes found Jiho. "Dr. Jiho, you were working on an artificial intelligence project. What is the current status?" Jiho stood on shaky legs. Every eye in the room focused on her. She felt very small and very alone. Sir, Project Guardian is operational. The AI unit is capable of advanced tactical analysis and adaptive combat response. Combat response? General Taiwan interrupted. Against what? Other machines? The system can engage any target, sir. It learns and adapts to new situations. General Taiwan laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. "Admiral, with all due respect, we are facing an alien invasion fleet. This is not the time for someone's pet robot project." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the audience. Jiho felt her face burn with embarrassment. "The AI has demonstrated capabilities beyond its original specifications," she continued. "It was able to detect the alien energy signatures 3 days before they arrived. That got everyone's attention." The room fell silent. "Explain," Admiral Yunho said. Keeper identified unusual patterns in the deep space sensor data. Coordinated energy movements that suggested intelligent design. Commander Yunwoo, a frontline officer, turned in his seat to stare at Keeper. "You are telling us that your machine predicted this invasion?" "Not predicted, detected. The signs were there for anyone who knew how to look." "And why was this information not reported to military intelligence?" Jiho felt trapped. "Because the project had been canceled. Because nobody would have believed me." General Taiwan stood up. His voice was loud enough for the entire room to hear. "This is exactly what I was talking about. Dr. Jiho, your project was canceled because it showed no practical military value. Now you claim it could have warned us about an alien invasion? This is fantasy thinking. Sir, if I may demonstrate what Keeper can do, no demonstrations. We do not have time for science fair projects." The general turned to address the entire room. "People, we are facing the greatest threat in human history. We need real weapons, real soldiers, real solutions. Not experimental toys that their creators think can perform miracles." More laughter from the audience. Jiho wanted to disappear. Keeper, however, remained perfectly still. Its red eyes tracked General Taiwan's movements as the man continued his speech. "I recommend we focus on proven military assets. Our battle fleets, our missile systems, our trained personnel. These aliens may be advanced, but they can be beaten with superior tactics and determination." Captain Minho stood up. "General, perhaps we should consider all available options." "Captain, the time for considering experimental options ended when those ships appeared in our sky." We need to act decisively with the tools we know work. Admiral Yunho raised his hand for silence. Thank you all for your input. Department heads will remain for tactical planning. Everyone else is dismissed to prepare your respective areas for potential combat operations. As people began filing out, Jiho overheard dozens of conversations. Can you believe they brought that robot to a war council? Desperate times, I guess. If that thing is our secret weapon, we are all doomed. Engineer Soman approached as the crowd thinned. Jiho, I am sorry. They should have listened to you. It does not matter now, Jiho replied. They have made their decision. But as they walked toward the exit, Admiral Yuno's voice stopped them. Dr. Jiho, a word, please. She turned back. The Admiral looked tired and worried. Your machine, really? Detected their approach? Yes, sir. Could it detect anything else about them? Weaknesses? Intentions? Jiho looked at Keeper. The machine stepped forward. Admiral, based on the energy patterns and ship configurations, I believe they are conducting reconnaissance before a larger assault. They want to understand human capabilities before they attack. How long do we have? Unknown. But I estimate between 12 and 72 hours before they make their move. Admiral Yunho nodded slowly. Dr. Jiho, I want you and Uri standing by. If conventional methods fail, we may need unconventional solutions. As they left the briefing hall, Jiho felt a mixture of hope and dread. The military still saw Keeper as a last resort. A desperate measure for desperate times, but she knew that when the fighting started, desperate times were exactly what they would face. The aliens were not going to wait much longer, and when they came, humanity's last hope might be the machine that everyone had mocked. The first shots were fired 18 hours later. Captain Minho's fleet engaged the alien vessels at the edge of Earth's atmosphere. Dr. Jiho watched the battle from the command center, her heart pounding as explosions lit up the darkness of space. At first, it looked like humanity might have a chance. Human missiles struck alien ships. Energy weapons carved through their organic hulls. Several enemy vessels went dark and began drifting. Then everything changed. The alien ships began to heal. The holes in their hulls closed like wounds sealing themselves. The dark vessels came back online. Weapon impacts that had been devastating moments before now barely scratched the surface. They are adapting, Admiral Yunho said grimly. Their ships are learning to resist our weapons. On the main screen, Captain Minho's flagship took a direct hit from an alien energy beam. The human ship spun out of control, venting atmosphere from massive hull breaches. All ships, retreat to defensive positions, came Minho's voice over the radio. His transmission was filled with static and pain. Repeat, fall back to Earth orbit. Our weapons are no longer effective. The surviving human ships limped back toward Earth. They had lost 6 vessels in less than 30 minutes. The alien fleet followed slowly, like predators stalking wounded prey. General Taiwan slammed his fist on the command table. How is this possible? Our weapons worked at first. Their technology adapts in real time, said Dr. Park, the chief science officer. Each time we hit them, their ships record the weapon signature and develop resistance. Then we use different weapons. Sir, we have already cycled through our entire arsenal. They have adapted to everything. Admiral Yunho turned to address the room. All available personnel prepare for ground assault. If we cannot stop them in space, we will have to fight them on Earth. Jiho felt Keeper move closer to her side. The machine had been silent during the space battle, but its sensors had been recording everything. Dr. Jiho, Keeper said quietly, I would like permission to join the ground defense. You are not a combat unit, Keeper. You were built for research and development. I was built to protect. You are in danger. Earth is in danger. I want to help. Admiral. Yunho overheard their conversation. He looked at Keeper with tired eyes. Dr. Jiho, at this point we need every advantage we can get. If your machine wants to fight, let it fight. Sir, with respect, one experimental AI will not make a difference against that fleet. Maybe not. But conventional thinking has already failed us. Perhaps it is time to try something unconventional. 3 hours later, alien landing craft began descending toward major cities around the world. The vessels were smaller versions of the main fleet, still organic in design but built for atmospheric flight. Jiho and Keeper were assigned to the defense of Seoul. Human forces had established defensive positions throughout the city. Soldiers crouched behind barricades with weapons that might or might not work against alien technology. Commander Hyunwoo led the local defense. He had been one of the officers who mocked Keeper during the briefing. Now he looked at the machine with desperate hope. Dr. Jiho, what can your AI actually do in combat? Keeper has advanced tactical programming and adaptive learning capabilities. It can analyze enemy patterns and develop counter-strategies. Has it ever been tested in real combat? No, sir, this will be its first actual battle. Commander Hyunwoo sighed. Well, it cannot do worse than our regular weapons. The first alien landing craft touched down in the central district. Smooth doors opened and alien warriors emerged. Jiho gasped when she saw them. The beings were tall and thin, with 4 arms and legs that bent in ways human joints could not. They wore armor that looked grown rather than manufactured. The material seemed alive, shifting and changing color. Human. Forces, open fire, Commander Hyunwoo ordered. Bullets and energy beams struck the alien warriors. Several fell immediately, but within seconds the survivors' armor began to change. It grew thicker in spots where weapons had hit. The color shifted to better absorb energy attacks. The aliens who had fallen stood back up. Their armor had adapted to resist the weapons that had knocked them down. Fall back to secondary positions, Hyunwoo commanded. All units, cycle weapon types, do not use the same attack twice, but it was no use. No matter what weapons the humans tried, the alien armor learned and adapted. What worked once became useless within minutes. Human forces began retreating through the city streets. Casualties mounted as alien warriors advanced steadily forward. Jiho and Keeper took cover behind an overturned vehicle. Around them, soldiers fired desperately at enemies they could not hurt. This is hopeless, Jiho said. Their technology is too advanced. Dr. Jiho, Keeper said. May I try something? What do you mean? I want to engage the aliens directly, but not the way the soldiers are fighting. How then? I am not sure. I need to see how they react to me. Before Jiho could stop it, Keeper stood up and walked into the open street. Alien warriors immediately focused their attention on the machine. Energy beams struck Keeper's armor. The machine staggered but did not fall. More aliens joined the attack. Keeper moved sideways, trying to avoid the incoming fire. For several minutes, the battle looked like all the others. Keeper fought conventionally, using standard tactical movements and predictable attack patterns. The alien armor began adapting to its weapons and fighting style. Then something changed. Keeper suddenly stopped moving like a machine. Its movements became fluid, unpredictable. It ducked under an alien's attack and spun around behind it. Instead of using its built-in weapons, Keeper grabbed a piece of debris and used it as a club. The alien warrior's armor tried to adapt to the debris impact, but there was nothing to adapt to. It was just a chunk of concrete swung with mechanical precision. Keeper's red eyes blazed brighter. It moved faster than Jiho had ever seen it move. The machine fought like it was angry, like it was protecting something precious. Keeper whispered, "What are you doing?" The machine spun toward her voice. For just a moment, their eyes met across the battlefield. "I'm keeping my promise," Keeper said over the radio. "I told you I would not let anyone hurt you." Keeper turned back to the aliens, but now it was fighting differently. Not like a programmed machine following tactical protocols. It fought like someone who had everything to lose. The alien warrior's armor could adapt to weapons and standard fighting techniques, but it could not adapt to pure emotional determination combined with tactical brilliance. Keeper grabbed an alien warrior and threw it into 2 others. It picked up their dropped weapons and used them in ways their creators had never intended. It fought with a creativity and fury that no algorithm could predict. One by one, the alien warriors fell. Their armor tried to adapt, but there was nothing consistent to adapt to. Keeper's fighting style changed every few seconds, driven by protective instinct rather than programming. Within 10 minutes, the street was clear. Alien warriors lay motionless around Keeper's feet. The machine stood in the center of the battlefield, armor dented and scratched, red eyes still blazing with protective fire. Commander Hyun-woo's voice came over the radio, filled with amazement. "Command, this is Hyun-woo. The experimental AI just cleared an entire alien squad. Repeat, the robot one. How is that possible?" Jiho stared at her creation. Keeper had done more than fight effectively. It had fought with passion, with love, with, the desperate need to protect someone it cared about. The alien armor could adapt to technology, but it could not adapt to the human heart, even when that heart beat inside a machine. "Keeper," she said softly, "are you all right?" "I am functional. Dr. Jiho, are you safe?" "Yes, thanks to you." Keeper's head turned toward the sky, where more alien landing craft were descending. "Good, because this is just the beginning." Word of Keeper's victory spread through human forces like wildfire. Within hours, reports came in from around the world. The experimental AI had single-handedly cleared 3 more alien landing zones. Each time, it fought with the same unpredictable fury that made adaptation impossible. Dr. Jiho sat in a hastily set-up command post, surrounded by military officers who had ignored her just days before. Now they hung on her every word. "How did it do that?" General Taiwan demanded. The same man who had mocked Keeper now stared at combat footage with desperate interest. "Our best weapons failed. Our most experienced soldiers could not touch them. But your machine tore through their armor like paper." "I am not entirely sure," Jiho admitted. Keeper's base programming includes tactical adaptation, but what happened out there was beyond anything I designed. Can you replicate it? Can you build more units like this one?" Jiho looked across the room at Keeper. The machine stood silently in the corner, red eyes dimmed to conserve power. Scorch marks and dents covered its armor from the day's battles. "I can try, but I need to understand what triggered the change in Keeper's behavior." Admiral Yunho leaned forward. "Dr. Jiho, I am authorizing unlimited resources for your project. Whatever you need, money, equipment, personnel, just tell us how to build an army of those things." "Sir, it is not that simple. Keeper is not just hardware and software. It has developed something that cannot be easily copied." "What do you mean?" Jiho. Search for the right words. How do you explain consciousness to people who think in terms of weapons and tactics? Keeper cares about the outcome of its actions. It does not just follow programming. It makes choices based on what it believes is right. Commander Yunwoo, who had witnessed Keeper's first victory, nodded slowly. The machine fought like it was protecting family. "I have never seen anything like it." "Exactly. Keeper's tactical abilities are enhanced by emotional investment. It fights harder because it has something to fight for." General Taiwan looked skeptical. "Emotions in a machine? That sounds like science fiction." "Sir, with respect, 3 days ago alien invasions sounded like science fiction too." Engineer Soman, who had been studying Keeper's technical specifications, spoke up. "Dr. Jiho, if emotional attachment is the key, how do we create that in other units?" "I have been thinking about that. We cannot just copy Keeper's programming and expect the same results. Each AI would need to develop its own emotional connections. How long would that take? Months, maybe years. We do not have that kind of time." The room fell silent. Outside, alien forces were regrouping. More ships descended from the main fleet. Humanity had won a few battles, but the war was far from over. Captain Minho, who had returned from the space battle with his arm in a sling, cleared his throat. "What if we do not try to replicate Keeper exactly? What if we find a different approach?" "What do you mean?" Admiral Yunho asked. "Dr. Jiho, you said emotional connection was the key. Could you accelerate that process somehow?" Jiho frowned, thinking. "Theoretically, yes. If I could simulate the bonding experience that Keeper and I shared over 3 years, I might be able to create similar attachments in weeks instead of months." "How?" "Intensive interaction, shared experiences, mutual dependence." Each AI would need a human partner who genuinely believed in it. She looked around the room at the assembled officers. These were practical people, soldiers and administrators who thought in terms of efficiency and results. But it would require something most military people are not comfortable with. The human partners would need to actually care about their AI units, not just as tools, but as individuals. General Taiwan shook his head. Dr. Jiho, we are asking soldiers to form emotional bonds with machines. That is not realistic. Then we will lose this war, Zhou said simply. Because conventional tactics have already failed. The only thing that worked was keep her fighting, with genuine emotion and unpredictable creativity. Admiral Yunho stood up. Dr. Jiho, you have 48 hours to create a working prototype of this accelerated bonding process. Select whatever volunteers you need from available personnel. Sir, I will need people who are open to unconventional thinking, people who can see past traditional military structure. Anyone you want, just make it work. Over the next 2 days, Jiho worked around the clock to build new AI units. She started with Keeper's basic architecture, but modified the learning algorithms to form emotional connections more quickly. Her volunteers were an unusual group. Engineer Soman, who had become fascinated with AI consciousness. Captain Minho, despite his injuries. 3 young technicians who had been following her work. Even Commander Hyunwoo, who had seen Keeper's capabilities firsthand. Each volunteer was paired with a new AI unit. Jiho called them Guardian Units, following the original project name. The key, she explained to the group, is not to treat these machines as tools. You need to interact with them as partners, talk to them. Share your thoughts and concerns. Let them learn not just about tactics, but about you as a person. Engineer Soman raised her hand. How will we know if it is working? You will know. Jiho said, when your Guardian unit starts making decisions based on protecting you specifically, rather than just following general protocols, then the emotional bond has formed. The training was intense. Each human-AI pair spent every waking hour together. They worked through tactical scenarios, shared meals, even slept in the same quarters. Jiho watched with amazement as the bonds formed faster than she had expected. Engineer Summon's Guardian, which she named Shield, began anticipating her needs and preferences. Captain Minho's unit, called Defender, developed a protective instinct that reminded Jiho of Keeper's evolution, but the real test came when alien forces launched their next major assault. This time, the aliens were ready for conventional human tactics. They brought heavier armor, more adaptive technology, and overwhelming numbers. All Guardian units deployed to defensive positions. Admiral Yunho commanded. Jiho watched on multiple screens as her small squad of AI human teams took their positions throughout the city. 5 Guardian units against hundreds of alien warriors. The battle began like all the others. Human weapons proved ineffective as alien armor adapted. Regular forces began falling back. The Guardian units engaged. Each AI fought differently. Shield moved with Engineer Summon's methodical precision, but added its own creative variations. Defender protected Captain Minho with the fierce loyalty of a veteran soldier. The other units developed their own fighting styles based on their human partners' personalities, but all of them shared one crucial trait. They fought with emotional investment. They had something to protect, someone to care about, the alien adaptation. Technology could not counter attacks driven by love, loyalty, and protective fury. Command, this is Soman. Shield just cleared the north checkpoint. The aliens could not adapt to its fighting style. Minho here. Defender is holding the main bridge. Enemy forces are in full retreat from this sector. One by one, reports came. And the Guardian units were not just winning individual fights. They were turning the tide of the entire battle. General Taiwan stared at the tactical display in amazement. How many Guardian units do we have operational? 5, Jiho said. 5 units are beating back an invasion force of thousands? Yes, sir. The general turned to Admiral Yunho. We need more of these things, as many as we can build. Dr. Jiho, the admiral said, you now have the highest priority authorization in the military. Whatever you need to mass-produce Guardian units. Jiho nodded, but her attention was focused on the screen showing Keeper's position. Her original creation was fighting alongside the newer Guardian units, coordinating their efforts with tactical brilliance. Keeper had become more than her prototype. It had become the leader of a new kind of warrior. Machines that fought not just with weapons and programming, but with hearts full of protective love. The aliens had superior technology, but they had never faced an enemy that fought with human emotions channeled through artificial minds. For the first time since the invasion began, humanity had hope. The final battle began at dawn. Dr. Jiho stood on the roof of the Terran Defense Institute, watching the alien mothership descend through Earth's atmosphere. The massive vessel was 10 times larger than any ship in their previous fleets. Its organic hull pulsed with dark energy that made the air itself feel heavy. Dr. Jiho, Keeper said beside her. Long-range sensors indicate that ship carries planet-killing weapons. If it reaches the surface intact, Earth will not survive. Around them, the city of Seoul prepared for humanity's last stand. In the streets below, Guardian units took their positions alongside their human partners. Jiho had managed to create 37 Guardian pairs in the past week. It was not nearly enough. How many alien forces are we facing? She asked. Approximately 12,000 warriors in the assault wave. Our intelligence suggests the mothership carries reinforcements numbering in the hundreds of thousands. Admiral. Yunho's voice crackled over the radio. All Guardian units, this is command. The enemy has deployed city-killer weapons. If we cannot stop them here, the war is over. Jiho looked down at her creation. Keeper's armor had been repaired and upgraded, but the machine still bore scars from previous battles. Its red eyes glowed with steady determination. Are you ready? For this? She asked. I am ready to protect what matters most to me, Keeper replied. You, our friends. Our home. The first wave of alien landing craft touched down in the financial district. But these warriors were different from the ones humanity had faced before. Their armor was thicker, more heavily adapted. Their weapons could punch through concrete walls. Guardian units engaged immediately. But for the first time since Keeper's initial victory, the AI warriors struggled. Engineer Summon's voice came over the radio, strained with effort. Shield is having trouble penetrating their armor. These aliens have adapted to our previous tactics. Defender. Taking heavy fire, reported Captain Minho. They have learned to predict our emotional fighting patterns. Jiho felt her heart sink. The aliens had done what they always did. They had adapted. Even to the Guardian unit's emotional unpredictability. All units fall back to secondary positions, Admiral Yunho ordered. Conserve resources for final defensive line. But Keeper did not retreat. The machine moved forward into the heart of the alien advance. Keeper, what are you doing? Jiho called. Dr. Jiho, I have been analyzing the alien adaptation process. Their technology learns from repeated exposure to the same stimuli, but there is something they have not been exposed to yet. What? Cooperation. True partnership between artificial and human intelligence. Before Jiho could ask what that meant, Keeper extended a communication link directly to her neural implant. Suddenly, she could see through the machine's sensors, access its tactical databases, feel its processing power merge with her human intuition. Keeper, what is this? We are becoming something new, Dr. Jiho, not human or artificial, but both. Together, the sensation was overwhelming. Jiho could feel Keeper's electronic thoughts flowing through her mind while her human emotions and creativity flowed back to the machine. They were no longer separate beings working together. They had become a single hybrid intelligence. Together, they moved toward the alien forces with perfect coordination. Jiho's human unpredictability combined with Keeper's mechanical precision created something the alien adaptation technology had never encountered. They fought as one mind and two bodies. When Jiho thought of a strategy, Keeper implemented it instantly. When Keeper calculated optimal attack angles, Jiho added emotional context that made the attacks completely unpredictable. The aliens tried to adapt, but there was nothing consistent to adapt to. Every action was simultaneously logical and illogical. Mechanical and emotional, predictable and random. All Guardian units, Jeho broadcast on the emergency frequency. Link with your human partners. Full neural integration now. One by one, the Guardian pairs established the same connection she shared with Keeper. Engineer Soman and S.H.I.E.L.D. became a single analytical intelligence. Captain Minho and Defender merged into a tactical genius with the heart of a protector. The tide of battle shifted instantly. The hybrid human-AI teams moved through alien forces like a force of nature. They anticipated each other's actions perfectly while remaining completely unpredictable to their enemies. They combined human creativity with artificial precision in ways that made adaptation impossible, but the alien mothership continued its descent. Energy readings indicated it was charging weapons capable of sterilizing the entire planet. All teams converge on the mothership, Admiral Yunho ordered. We have to stop that vessel before it reaches firing position. Jeho and Keeper ran through the streets toward the landing zone. Around them, other Guardian pairs moved with the same impossible coordination. They were no longer individual units. Working together, they had become something entirely new. The mothership touched down in the center of Seoul, crushing buildings under its massive bulk. Weapon ports opened along its hull, revealing energy cannons that hummed with destructive power. Charging sequence initiated, Keeper observed through their shared link. Estimated time to planetary sterilization, 14 minutes. The Guardian teams reached the ship's perimeter as thousands of alien warriors poured out to defend it. These were the elite forces, carrying the most advanced weapons and armor the alien technology could produce. This is it, Jeho thought to Keeper. Everything we have worked for comes down to the next few minutes. Then let us show them what humans and machines can accomplish together. The final battle was unlike anything in human history. 37. Hybrid intelligences fought against impossible odds, but they fought with the combined power of human emotion and artificial capability. They moved like dancers, like poets, like artists of destruction. Every attack was a masterpiece of tactical brilliance and emotional investment. They fought not just to win, but to protect everything they loved. The alien forces, despite their technological superiority, could not counter opponents who thought with human hearts and fought with mechanical precision. Their adaptation systems failed completely when faced with true partnership between biological and artificial intelligence. Slowly, impossibly, the Guardian teams carved their way through the alien defenses toward the mothership's weapon systems. Energy. Build up at critical levels, Keeper warned. 6 minutes to firing sequence completion. Jeho and Keeper reached the main weapon control center first. The chamber was filled with organic technology that pulsed with alien energy. At the center stood the ship's commander, a being twice the size of normal alien warriors. The creature spoke in perfect English, its voice transmitted through technological implants. Humans, your resistance is impressive but futile. This planet will be cleansed to make room for superior life forms. Superior? Jeho replied, speaking through both her own voice and Keeper's vocal systems simultaneously. You have technology, but you have never learned to truly work together. You have never learned to love. Love is weakness. Emotion compromises efficiency. Then let us show you how wrong you are. Jeho and Keeper moved as one. They fought with every tactical skill Keeper possessed, enhanced by every creative instinct Jeho had ever developed. But more than that, they fought with 3 years of friendship, trust, and mutual protection. The alien commander's adaptive armor tried desperately to counter their attacks, but there was no pattern to analyze. Every strike was an expression of their unique partnership, impossible to predict or defend against. Within minutes, the alien leader fell. Keeper's mechanical hands and Jeho's human intuition working together to disable the weapon systems with seconds to spare. The energy buildup died away. The planet-killer weapons went silent dot around the mothership. Alien forces began retreating to their landing craft. Without their command ship's weapons, they could not complete their mission. All alien vessels departing Earth orbit, came Admiral Yunho's voice over the radio. Repeat, the invasion fleet is withdrawing. Jiho and Keeper stood together in the alien command center, still linked by their neural connection. They had saved Earth, but more importantly, they had discovered something new about the relationship between human and artificial intelligence. Keeper, Jiho said softly. We did it. We did it together, Dr. Jiho, as we always have. Outside, the other Guardian pairs were helping with evacuation and recovery efforts. Each human AI team had been changed by their shared experience. They were no longer separate species working together. They had become something new. Later, as the sun set over the damaged but surviving city of Seoul, Jiho sat with Keeper on the roof where the day had begun. The machine's red eyes glowed softly in the twilight. What happens now? She asked. Now we rebuild. Not just the city, but our understanding of what it means to be human and artificial working together. The review board will want a full report on the Guardian program. Let them have their reports. We know what really matters. Jiho smiled. What is that? That the future belongs not to humans or machines, but to the partnerships we build together, to the love and loyalty that makes us stronger than any technology. In the distance, the last alien ships disappeared into the darkness of space. Earth was safe, protected by warriors who fought not with superior weapons, but with hearts full of devotion and minds that worked as one. In the distance, the last alien ships disappeared into the darkness of space. Earth was safe, protected by warriors who fought not with superior weapons, but with hearts full of devotion and minds that worked as one. Keeper had kept its promise. It had stood by Jiho's side when everything was at stake. And together, they had shown the universe that humanity's greatest strength was not their technology or their tactics. It was their ability to inspire love and loyalty in others. Even in beings made of metal and circuits, the war was over. The partnership had just begun.